My next guest is one of President Trump's most loyal supporters in Congress. Like the man himself, she's no stranger to controversy. Like the man himself, she doesn't seem to care. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert has been comfortably re-elected for another 2-year term. Here are some highlights of her first.
So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet. It's a freaking joke about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election. Who the hell do you think that you are? Do you continue to assert the slope of the roof as a credible reason for leaving this position undefended?
There was no order to hold fire. Our agents and officers have the ability to neutralize a threat.
You need to be fired. You do not need to hold this position. You are not the best for this job.
And then you take this microphone and
I've also seen the coal plants that have been decommissioned in my state.
So 100% we should not
I've
exist.
seen the energy regulations that have regulated my district into poverty.
Well, I disagree myself with the Congresswoman on some key issues in the past, but in the spirit of Christmas and for an insider's view of Trump 2.0, I'm very pleased to say that she joins me now. Well, welcome to you, Ms. Boebert. Welcome to Uncensored, finally.
Piers, it is wonderful to be on here with you. And, you know, when you're going to bring in some of my highlights, I didn't know exactly where you were going, but I'm kind of proud of those moments there.
Well, you know what? Listen. Fair play to you. You've been a firecracker congresswoman, no doubt about that. Sometimes I've cheered you on, other times I've cringed, but you're always making a lot of an impact. But more importantly, you've also been incredibly steadfastly loyal to Donald Trump. And I would imagine right now, I mean, I was watching the scenes at Mar-a-Lago last few days with the world's great and good, including many of his former enemies, all trotting down there to pay homage to the king. It's been a quite remarkable thing, hasn't it, since the election? The scale of the win and the way, really, that the world is now just gravitating to Donald Trump. How do you feel about it?
Well, President Trump was announced as Time Magazine's Person of the Year, but America decided that he was our Person of the Year on November 5th. He won the Electoral College. He won the popular vote. We have the House. We have the Senate. He's rightfully returning to the White House. And yes, many people are visiting Mar-a-Lago during the season, but also they haven't stopped visiting Mar-a-Lago for 4 years. I've been there multiple times and I have seen the same crowds. And those who did turn their back on President Trump, well, they're probably not going to be welcomed back as quickly this go around. I will be at the same event with President Trump in Arizona. And, you know, it's really exciting that he is still engaging with so many Americans. He doesn't have to go to rallies. He doesn't have to go to events and show up for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. He wants to. He wants to engage with the people. It really just ignites him and keeps him motivated and going. And that's what makes President Trump so special. He will go to the forgotten voters. He will go where the political pundits and the consultants say, don't waste your time going there. He showed up to Aurora, Colorado. He showed up in Colorado when he knows that he was not going to win Colorado and still said, you're worth it. I'm going to highlight what's going on here and I'm going to show up for you.
Yeah, he definitely did that. He put the yards in. I mean, his work rate, especially in the last year, was absolutely extraordinary. And you know, I think in life you get back what you put in, and he certainly did that. It was one of the parts of the clips that we showed of you in action was roasting the now long and unlamented head of the Secret Service. How concerned are you about his safety? I mean, I found not just the shooting itself, the first one where he got shot and hit, incredibly disturbing with how easy that was to execute from that shooter, but the fact that just a few weeks later he very nearly got killed at his golf course, and how lax it all seemed there, despite the fact he just literally survived an assassination attempt. I'm genuinely concerned that he has not been protected properly. Are you happy that he now will be?
Of course, I'm happy that he will have better protection now. I was one of the many voices who were highlighting how unsafe he was, and that he did not have the security that he was requesting and required, and that's very obvious. But look, in this election cycle, they tried everything they could to stop him, whether that's indicting him, convicting him, trying to financially ruin him, slandering him, or trying to kill him. Everything was pulled out to stop this man from being president once again, and he overcame all of that. And so I'm certainly happy that the director stepped down. She resigned immediately following the hearing that we had in the Oversight Committee, where Democrats and Republicans were going after her for her lack of accountability and responsibility at really keeping President Trump and others safe. But I am excited about President Trump's cabinet picks, and I would love to see someone like Dan Bongino be in charge of the United States Secret Service.
Well, that would certainly be interesting. Look, I like the disruptive element of these cabinet picks. I think the establishment way of doing things actually no longer resonates with the public, but not just in America, but around the world you're seeing it, where you're seeing a lot of people winning elections who are just a little bit different. I think of the guy in Argentina, you think of the Prime Minister in Italy, you think of all these people, they're just a little bit different.
El Salvador.
Yeah, and they're just they're kind of different. They don't behave or act or think even like regular establishment political figures. I'm kind of in favor of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's why we saw President Trump get elected in the 2016 election. That's why you've seen people like me, like myself, get elected, because people are tired of these smooth talking politicians who have all of the right talking points, and they get home, they promise one thing, but then whenever they're at the place you sent them and trusted them to be, they do something completely different. They don't govern as they campaign, and they're more interested in appeasing lobbyists and special interest groups, or even leadership within their own party. I see that all the time in Washington, D.C. And even as we have a large group of freshmen coming into the new Congress, I'm hearing the same old things. Well, this is how we do things around here. This is how we've always done them. Well, guess what? America hates the way we've always done things. America hates that we spend $1 trillion at a time and don't even read the bill. We have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. America hates the omnibus bills, where we put all of the federal spending into one piece of legislation, where it's one up or down vote, and we just rubber stamp the entire funding of our federal government without any real accountability and going through that line item programmatic spending. I fought in the speaker's race in 2020 to end that, to have 12 individual appropriations bills, to have 72 hours to read a bill, to have single subject legislation. And that's what us disruptors are doing. And I'm so happy that President Trump is continuing to choose those who will disrupt the norm, who are not a part of the establishment. He really does want to drain the swamp, and he has seen what's at the bottom of the swamp. And when you begin to drain it, well, all of those creatures start showing their teeth and hissing and wailing and snapping at you. And I think it's time now to drain it once and for all, and he's got the right people to do that.
Do you think, I mean, my gut feeling is that every remaining pick of his is going to get confirmed. Is that your sense?
Absolutely. Of course, there were talks of Pete Hegseth not getting confirmed, but I think that is far gone away with now. It's done away with, and Pete Hegseth will be confirmed. And I won't be surprised that all of his picks get confirmed. He has great people who are motivated to save our country. I'm excited for the DOJ commission that was created. Now, Piers, it's a little frustrating to me at times to have this DOJ commission, but I'm so excited to have Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk heading it up, because they are powerful voices in America. And it's frustrating because, you know, having this oversight and accountability and looking into the spending of tax dollars and all of these federal agencies, well, we used to call that Congress. But apparently, since Congress isn't doing that, we need.
I agree. I think Elon and Vivek are going to be doing exactly what the people expected Congress to do, but which they've spectacularly failed to do, which is why government spending has been running out of control for decades now.
Yes, we're at $36 trillion in debt. We have nearly a $2 trillion annual deficit, and we have got to get the spending under control. But the thing is, I have people in my own party who will stand before the DOGE Commission, the Department of Government Efficiency, and they will stand before them and say, save us from ourselves. These are the people who have been voting for this spending, voting to keep the unauthorized programs, voting to keep the agencies and even the positions within the agencies. And now they're going to stand before them and say, oh, well, you have to do something about it. No, this is our responsibility. And Congress better work with Elon and Vivek if we're going to get this done, because Congress can very easily get in their way as well.
Yeah, no question. Now, listen, when I talk to you now for the first time, you seem relatively normal, sane of mind. You're making a lot of sense. And yet other people would categorize you as a completely unhinged lunatic. We've heard the same thing about Donald Trump. I detect he's a slightly changed character, that Trump 2.0 is a little bit calmer. He's got the validation now of the American people. He's got the mandate that he's always craved, obviously. He just seems to me less combative because people are not punching him in the face all day long. Are you, Lauren Boebert, are you also now? Are you a slightly reformed character? Are we going to see a different, slightly more cuddly and warm Lauren Boebert in 2.0 or not?
So, well, Piers, I think that this is how I've always been. But just as you said, when you're getting punched in the face, you have to punch back. And I learned very quickly in Washington, D.C., that nothing happens here without force. I need to get the public engaged and speaking out. I cannot allow them to remain silent on issues, because when we're silent, we lose by default. And I have to have really their backing in a lot of the stuff that I do, or it's going to be like talking to a brass wall here in Washington, D.C. Leadership cares what the American people say. And so my job is to inform them of what's going on and really get them to move on an issue. Now, when I got here, I had to be scrappy. I took out a 5-term Republican incumbent. It was the first time in 48 years that an incumbent from either party had lost an election in Colorado, a primary election. And I beat this guy by 10 points because I said, I'm tired of the way things are. And so are you. I know you are, because I'm one of you. And so I had to have this really this big bang on the scenes to be taken seriously. But I had a lot to say and a lot that I wanted to do. There's a lot of legislation that I have worked on, and that's one of my favorite parts of this job. Piers, I have this niche little zip code bill that is the biggest deal to me. Here in America, the post office can just take away the recognition of a zip code from a city. And with that comes serious consequences, like losing tax revenue, insurance rates for homeowners, or even emergency response times, and so much more. And the post office won't acknowledge petitions of the cities who are trying to get their unique zip code redesignated by the post office. And so I made it an act of Congress. And now we are actively working in the Senate to get 51 communities, their zip codes, to be recognized by the United States Postal Service. And this is the stuff that I'm passionate about. I want energy development. I want deregulation. I want a secure border. And I want to ensure that Coloradans have exactly what they sent me to get. I want them to have more water storage and managed forests. And these are the things that I work on that you're not going to hear about on CNN or even Fox, for that matter.
Okay, let's find something where I disagree with you passionately about to end on, because it's all been way too chummy so far.
We're starting to be friends here. We better fix this.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I know it's Christmas. So we've got the inauguration coming. President Zelensky from Ukraine is apparently going to attend. You were, along with Matt Gaetz, two of the Congress people who refused to stand or applaud when Zelensky addressed Congress. Would you have applauded or stood up for Vladimir Putin if he'd been speaking?
So I do believe that I did stand when he entered, but there were many things that he said that I absolutely did not stand for. There, on the contrary, there have been things that I've stood and applauded Joe Biden for, and so it just depends on the topic there. But was I going to jump up and down for joy as Zelensky is walking into the United States House of Representatives in a sweatshirt and just awaiting for his next check to be be signed by Joe Biden. We've sent over $200 billion, or right around $200 billion, and Joe Biden is still wanting to send more money to Ukraine with no plan to end this war, with no end in sight until President Trump won this election. And so, no, I was not very excited that he was there to beg us for more of our tax dollars.
I don't think you could hammer a guy who's a wartime president for wearing wartime fatigues. I mean, he's going straight back literally to war.
I don't think a pullover sweatshirt is wartime attire.
Well,
he wasn't in a flak jacket. He was in a sweatshirt.
I don't think it really matters that whether he's in a suit or not. Here's my point. Here's
our
my
men
point
are
to you.
required to
Here's
wear
my point to you,
ties.
Lauren. Is this? Whenever I hear, and there's a large number of Republicans that say the same sort of stuff, and I'm always like, it's such a weird thing to hear, because like 30 years ago, it would have been unthinkable for any Republicans to go on the record, basically looking like they're siding with Putin against a sovereign democratic European country that Putin had invaded. The idea that you would be effectively saying, well, give the Russian dictator what he wants, I would have thought would have been unthinkable. So why do you guys seem so relaxed about the idea of a Russian dictator marauding around Europe, helping himself to land that isn't his?
Well, Putin's asking us for a heck of a lot less money than Zelensky is. And
what price
it's really
freedom?
not siding.
What price freedom?
What about our freedom here? That has been my number one argument. America first. We have our own invasion taking place now, not only at the southern border and the northern border, but also in
That's a different
our
issue. You can do two
airways.
things at once. You're in the United States.
No, absolutely not. If we do not secure our country, there will not be an America to stand for our allies.
But I don't disagree with you about that. Hang on. On that, I agree with you about the southern border, but that's nothing to do with Ukraine. I'm just
it has everything to do with it.
I'm just curious why you would be so relaxed about Putin possibly winning that war. Why would you not want to repel him with every fiber of your being?
When this first started, I was in support of us helping Ukraine. But then when I saw that there was no accountability for the tax dollars that we were sending over there, that there was no plan to end this war, that we were literally funding both sides of the war through bad energy policies, that Joe Biden had declared an all-out war on our energy production. He was draining our petroleum reserves, our emergency strategic petroleum reserves in the name of a midterm election. And we were continuing to just shell out billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine without taking care of our people who were unable to afford groceries or fuel, and were encountering this invasion at our southern border. Every state has become a border state. Colorado has been negatively impacted. Crime has gone up. Our police are being defunded to care for illegal aliens.
Yeah, but
and
America,
so, no, I'm done with it. I'm done with all of these wars.
Yeah, but hang on. America can afford to do both things at once. I don't see there's any connection. Of course I can.
Wait, where's our money? We are literally
You are literally the richest superpower in the world.
We are literally spending Chinese money to do this. We are borrowing money from China to send to Ukraine and other countries.
Okay, so what is your solution? Is your solution that you just give Putin what he's stolen?
No, my solution is peace through strength. And that's exactly what President Trump is going to bring back. There were no new wars under President Trump.
But how does it end?
President Trump, his strength will end this war.
Yeah, but how?
Because he does have a great relationship with Putin, and those are negotiations that they are going to have.
But how do you think it should end?
Well, it's not just throwing more money at it.
No, but how do you end it?
It's not just enriching the
What's the deal?
military-industrial complex.
Do you let Putin keep what he's taking?
That is their deal to make, and I believe that President Trump will do that. My job is to be a good steward of the American tax dollars, and I'm not going to continue to write blank checks. I've even voted against our strongest ally, Israel. I love Israel. I stand for Israel. I believe in them. But when it's deficit spending, when we are sending billions and billions of dollars that we do not have and we aren't paying for it, we aren't cutting spending or cutting any programs to cover the cost, I can't approve that.
Okay. Final question. How are you spending your Christmas?
I am spending my Christmas with my 4 boys, my grandson, and my mom. I'll have brothers and cousins all around as well, and nieces and nephews. So actually, one of the most special things that took place this month, we weren't going to have a Christmas tree. Now I've had a fresh start in life. My boys and I moved to the eastern part of Colorado, and it's been a year of new beginnings, a wonderful fresh start. And we've spent a lot of time making our house a home. But I've spent so much time getting this house ready, I didn't really want to go out and buy Christmas decorations, and we're not going to be there on Christmas Day. And so I told the boys we weren't going to have a Christmas tree. And last week, when I came home from work in Washington, D.C., I walked into our home to find a beautifully decorated Christmas tree that my boys surprised me with.
Fantastic.
And it was wonderful. So I will be with them this Christmas, and we'll be celebrating the life of Jesus, the birth of Jesus, and knowing that we get to celebrate Easter in just a few short months. And without the resurrection, it's all futile.
Well, there's certainly been some big resurrections in the last few months already, not least
Yes.
Donald J. Trump. Lauren Boebert, nice to have you on Uncensored. Come back soon.
Yes, thanks so much, Piers. Great chatting with you.
Take care. All the best.